So a single ticket hit Powerball's $699.8 million jackpot, but let's just call it like $700 million. And so here's the winner's tax bill, according to this article. And the reason why we're covering this is because it makes it very interesting. Like, let's just like imagine that you won $700 million. This is basically what you would have to deal with, right? So there's a Powerball winner in California who's about to be ultra wealthy even after giving good old Uncle Sam a cut of the windfall. A single ticket sold in the Golden State matched all 6 numbers drawn Monday night to land the game's $699.8 million jackpot. The top prize had been growing since early June when a ticket sold in Florida won $286 million. The latest jackpot ranks as the 7th largest prize in U.S. lottery history and the 5th biggest for Powerball. So number 1 was actually $1.6 billion. Number 2 was $1.5 billion. And number 3 was $1 billion. That's crazy when you really think about it. So of course, the advertised amount is more than what the person will end up with. Now, winners get to choose between taking their prize as either a lump sum or an annuity paid over 30 years. And either way, taxes eat up a good portion of the winnings. I agree. So for this $700 million Powerball prize, the cash option, which most people go with, is $496 million. Now, before that reaches the winner, a 24% federal tax withholding of about $119 million will get shaved off the top. Next, that would leave a hefty $377 million, although the IRS will likely be owed more at tax time due to the top marginal income tax rate of 37%. Now, there's also good news on the tax front. So apparently, California generally does not tax lottery winnings. That compares with, say, winning in New York City, where a state income tax rate of 10.9% would apply, as well as a local tax of 3.876%. So despite the share that goes to taxes, the windfall is more than most people see in a lifetime, and this makes it important to get professional guidance before heading to lottery headquarters. Experts say. So in California, you get 1 year to claim your prize. Also be aware that California does not allow winners to remain anonymous. And generally speaking, the first call should be an attorney experienced in assisting lottery winners, experts say, and other professionals also should be brought in to help, including a tax advisor and a financial advisor. Now, here's the thing. Let's say that you were to win the lottery, and let's say that you have won the lottery or you just won the lottery, right? Like, let's just picture that. If you win the lottery, first and foremost, you have to be honest with yourself. Now, what do I mean by this? I mean, if you win the lottery, you have to be honest with yourself in that the type of person you are when it comes to handling money. If you're someone who typically spends all of their money, right, then be honest with yourself. And even though this is actually technically the worst financial decision, you should actually go with the annuity because it saves you from your bad choices. Because if you're someone who continuously spends all their money, regardless of how much money they make, and you suddenly get a massive windfall like this, like let's just say, for simplicity purposes, let's say that you get like $300 million after everything's said and done, right? And a lump sum after taxes and all that kind of stuff, right? Let's just say that. You run the risk of basically spending every single dime of that money within 5 years. And the reason why we say that is because there's a proven track record of lottery winners who have not had really good experience with managing money, basically being completely humongous screw-ups in managing their monies when it's a lump sum, right? This is why you have to be honest with yourself and be like, okay, I'm bad with my money. And I'm so bad that I have to take the annuity. So that even if I spent every single dime of my money every single year, guess what? Next year I will have money, right? Like that's the way to really like think about it, because it's like even if you were to screw up 1 year out of the 30 years, guess what? You're okay for the next 29 years. If you were to screw up 25 years out of the 30 years, right, where you spent every single dime 25 years out of the 30 years, guess what? You could still end up coming ahead, right? Even if you were to screw up 29 out of 30 years, right, spending every single cent, guess what? You'll still end up coming ahead. Why? Because you still have that money available to you that's coming. But after that 30-year mark, guess what? You're kind of screwed if you continue to spend the way that you are, right? But with the annuity option, it actually gives you 30 years to truly get better with managing your money, right? Now, again, if you're someone who's actually very good at managing their money, do not take the annuity. Take the lump sum and invest that money to make a crap ton more money to where you never, ever have to think about money ever again in your life, in your family's generation, in your family's generation, your kids' generation, blah, 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 kind of stuff, right? Because this type of money is generational wealth to the point of basically for all of your descendants that might potentially end up ever coming into existence, everyone will be fine and potentially never have to actually go and work a job, right? Like that's the type of wealth that we're talking about if it's managed correctly, if it's put into investments correctly, if the people who win do not go into debt and spend all of their money, right? If you simply live below your means and put your money into investments that pay you a very reasonable sum every single year, you'd never have to lift a finger ever again, right? You'd never even have to wipe your own butt, right? Like you could literally pay someone to wipe your butt for you. Like this type of money, you could literally pay someone to do literally anything you want them to do and never lift a finger for yourself ever for the rest of your life. Only if you actually structure it in a way, like only if you have that financial foundation to where your money is managed in a way where it gives you the freedom of options available to you. Because if you're someone who just spends all their money, guess what? Your money will eventually run out if you spend continuously, right? If you spend more money than you're making, guess what? You're going to be screwed. And a lot of people don't really understand this too. The importance of getting like a tax advisor, a financial advisor, and a lawyer is really to protect yourself. Now, you do not necessarily have to do anything that they say, and you definitely do not want any of them to actually have access to your accounts. But what you do want is for them to give you advice in a non-BS way. Basically have them be like, hey, this is what you need to do with your taxes so that you pay very little in taxes, right? This is what you need to do when it comes to investments to make certain that this money grows continuously in a very non-risky way, because you don't have to do anything risky with this type of money, right? And this is what you need to do for like legal reasons to protect yourself, because now your identity is going to be revealed to everyone in the world, because you're not allowed to be anonymous when you win the lottery, which is, I think, is stupid, right? I think that is like the stupidest thing for the United States lottery, to basically be like, oh, hey, guess what? You just won nearly $1 billion, but it's like 300 million people will know who you are, what your face looks like, and guess what? It just takes 1% of the 300 million people that know what you look like to end up, guess what, robbing you, or worse, which has happened to other lottery winners because guess what, their identity is not protected. So Keep that in mind. Do things to protect yourself. Set your life in a way to where you don't have to work again and you have the freedom to go anywhere you want without really worrying about money ever again and just do whatever the hell you actually want to go and do. Right? So just think about that. By the way, if you want to learn how to get out of debt or just manage your money correctly so that if you were to ever win the lottery, you can protect yourself.